capital. This is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Ayotunde Balogun.
Hello and welcome tonight. INEC calls on security agencies to intensify efforts against vote buying in upcoming elections. Civil society groups fault Senate over electoral amendment bill passage without mandatory electronic transmission of results. UN, US and Turkish government condemn Kayama killings in Kwara state that claimed at least 75 lives. And at least 31 killed, over 100 injured in mosque explosion during Friday prayers in Islamabad.
And on business, global food costs continue downward trend as FAO records fifth monthly drop.
On Sports News tonight, Nigeria's Falconets set for Senegal showdown at the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup qualifier in Abeokuta on Saturday.
And from the nation's capital, UN, US and Turkish governments condemned Kayama killings in Kwara state, which claimed at least 75 lives.
Nigeria's electoral umpire, INEC, is asking security agencies to scale up efforts to curb vote selling and buying in Nigeria's elections. Now, Chairman of the Commission, Professor Josh Amokwiton, gave the charge at a meeting of the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security in Abuja. The meeting is part of ongoing preparations for the area council polls in the Federal Capital Territory and the forthcoming June governorship election in Ekiti State.
This meeting of the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security is at the instance of the electoral umpire to fine-tune security preparations for the FCT area council elections and the forthcoming governorship election in Ekiti State in June. The INEC chairman briefs the meeting about the level of preparation and calls on security agencies to help scale up efforts at curbing vote selling and buying at elections.
As we approach the 2027 general election, public interest and expectations continue to rise. While the Commission has finalized its timetable in line with the law, the scale and complexity of the elections demand early and sustained security engagement. Early security planning is critical to preventing avoidable challenges and ensuring peaceful election in both states. We look to the security agencies to ensure strict enforcement of the law, prevent misuse of thugs, prevent the use of thugs, curb vote buying, and guarantee the safety of voters and election personnel on election day.
Election security is an integral part of election preparations in Nigeria, and for the forthcoming elections, the security agencies are not leaving it to chance.
The Nigerian police force will continue to deploy massively for all elections across the country, and the purpose of this is to ensure that elections are violence-free and peaceful.
Political thugs and politicians with violent dispositions will be identified and reprimanded or restrained before, during, and after the elections, while vote buyers will be traced and apprehended. Political parties, candidates, and their supporters are therefore urged to conduct themselves with decorum.
The Independent National Electoral Commission is preparing for elections in the 6 area councils in Abuja, as well as governorship elections in Ekiti State in June this year.
Meanwhile, the Nigeria Civil Society Situation Room has condemned the Senate's passage of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill, warning that it undermines transparency, credibility, and public trust ahead of the 2027 general elections. The group faults the removal of the mandatory real-time electronic transmission of the results and the shortening of electoral timelines. This position was stated by the head of programs and policy at Action Aid Nigeria, Mr. Celestine Odo, on behalf of the Situation Room in a statement issued in Abuja. He said the Senate's version departs from agreements reached by the joint National Assembly committees and ignores lessons from the 2023 general elections. The Situation Room is now calling on the Conference Harmonization Committee and National Assembly leadership to reverse the controversial provisions and ensure the final bill strengthens Nigeria's democratic process.
Good morning. Nigerian Civil Society Situation Room expresses grave concern and profound disappointment over the passage by the Senate of a watered-down and retrogressive version of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2026. The version passed by the Senate substantially departs from the progressive reforms agreed by the Joint National Assembly Committee on the Electoral Matters and extensive consultations with stakeholders. The Senate's action reflects a troubling disregard for citizens' advocacy and stakeholder consensus. While the constitution of a Conference Harmonization Committee is a recognized legislative procedure, it must not become a channel for further weakening of electoral reforms. Situation Room, therefore, calls on the Conference Committee to retain the progressive provisions agreed by the joint committees, particularly mandatory real-time electronic transmission of results and realistic electoral timelines. We also urge the leadership of the National Assembly to demonstrate statesmanship and ensure that the final bill strengthens rather than undermines Nigeria's democracy.
The River State chapter of INEC says a lot of work is being done to make sure that persons with disability are carried along in the continuous voter registration and upcoming elections in the state. This was made known in Port Harcourt by the Commission's Administrative Secretary while receiving a delegation of the Joint National Association of Persons with Disability who were on a protest march to the Commission to demand better inclusion for their members. Our correspondent Charles Oporum reports.
Marching from the GRA flyover, members of the Joint National Association of Persons with Disability, JNAPI, in partnership with the Stakeholders Democracy Network, are making their voices heard as they demand better inclusion from INEC as the continuous voter registration continues. Carrying placards with various inscriptions such as "Inclusive electoral process is a right" and "Political inclusion matters," they reel out their demands to INEC.
As an association, we came together and had a communique to give to INEC, to give to relevant stakeholders that will champion the cause of persons with River State or persons with disabilities in River State. And here we are to let the world to know things we are passing through and what we have come as an inclusion that INEC and relevant stakeholders that we mentioned will, as a matter of urgency, execute in order to ensure inclusivity of persons with disabilities in River State.
They then hand over a communique containing their demands to the INEC officials who received them.
I hereby make this presentation to the INEC official, the research executives, for implementations. Thank you.
Responding, the INEC Administrative Secretary says some of their requests are already being met and that others will be promptly attended to.
So I want to tell you that on behalf of the Commission again, that the Commission always have you in mind in their processes and everything they are doing. It may be that you have not been satisfied yet, but we are working towards it. And we know that we love the PWDs. We have an office for PWD, the Commission, and we always make provision for PWDs. So in case you are not aware, I want to just mention a few of the efforts that the Commission has done in the process of attending to your needs. For instance, the Commission has created an online component to CVRO, the Continuous Voter Registration. You can do your transfers, updates, and change of names on your phone.
The hope is that this partnership between JNAPID and SDN will give more attention to the plight of PWDs and make INEC become more inclusive in their policies towards them. Charles of the Winner, Channels Television.
Ahead of the 2027 general elections, the Kogi Progressive Stakeholders Forum is supporting the re-election of President Bola Tinubu. Addressing the forum in Lokoja, the Kogi state capital, the chairman of the forum, Mr. Idris Wada, says the re-election of President Tinubu is critical to the advancement of Nigeria as a nation.
It's another moment of political alignment as members of the Kogi Progressive Stakeholders Forum from the 21 local government areas of the state gather for their inaugural meeting. On the agenda of the meeting is the 2027 presidential election and the second term of President Bola Tinubu.
The forum's objective for today's event is to carefully outline the gains of President Bola Tinubu's administration in a bid to rally support for his re-election, articulate strategies towards winning election, as well as listening to some observations, considerations, and possible threats that might hinder the re-election of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu come 2027.
The forum is meant to bring all the people in APC in Kogi State together.
The forum considers reconciliation as key to the success of the 2027 election.
Wherever we believe that there are issues, we bring out those issues and present it before the appropriate quarters for proper resolution. That's what we're all about. We are here for the victory of Mr. President and for the victory of all our elected officers down the line.
United in purpose, a motion to adopt President Tinubu as the sole candidate of the All Progressives Congress is moved and seconded.
So those who are in favor of the motion should say aye.
The motion is unanimously adopted via a voice vote.
Those against should say nay. Okay. Thank you very much. So
the forum agreed that members should commence mass mobilization of voters ahead of the election.
More reactions are trailing the deadly attack in Kayama, Kwara State, which left at least 75 persons dead. The United Nations, the US, and Turkey have all condemned the killings. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, in an X post, said, quote, "I strongly condemn the terrorist attack of February the 3rd in Kwara State, Nigeria. My heartfelt condolences to the families of the victims and to the people and government of Nigeria. I wish a speedy recovery to the injured," end quote. And the United States mission in Nigeria wrote, quote, "We express our deepest condolences to the families of those affected by this senseless violence. We welcome President Tinubu's order to deploy security forces to protect villages in the area and his directive to federal and state officials to provide aid to the community and bring the perpetrators of this atrocity to justice," end quote. The Turkish government, in a statement by its Ministry of Foreign Affairs, says, quote, "We strongly condemn this heinous attack and extend our condolences to the families of those who lost their lives and to the people of Nigeria. Turkey will continue to support Nigeria in its fight against terrorism," end quote. The gunmen had attacked Woro and the neighboring Nuku communities on Tuesday, killing at least 75 people, burning shops and the traditional ruler's residence, and forcing residents to flee their homes. In part two, after the break, Nigeria and Niger Republic Customs strengthen cooperation to enhance trade, reduce smuggling, and improve border security. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the News at 10 live on Channels Television, Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. INEC calls on security agencies to intensify efforts against vote buying in upcoming elections. Civil society groups fault Senate over electoral amendment bill passage without mandatory electronic transmission of results. Nigeria and Niger Republic Customs strengthen cooperation to enhance trade, reduce smuggling, and improve border security. And at least 31 killed and over 100 injured in mosque explosion during Friday prayers in Islamabad. The Controller General of the Nigeria Customs Service, Mr. Adewale Adeni, has announced that President Bola Tinubu has approved the provision of safe corridors and safe passage to ease the movement of loaded trucks awaiting clearance to the Republic of Niger as part of efforts to unlock transit bottlenecks and strengthen cross-border trade. The customs boss, who was speaking at the meeting with the Director General of the Niger Customs Administration, explains that the initiative aims to facilitate the movement of transit cargo, particularly goods from Apapa ports and Nigerian ports destined for neighboring countries, while ensuring that national security and economic interests are not compromised. Our correspondent, Sarah Chimugu, tells us more.
Officers and men of Nigeria Customs Service are joined by officials of the National Counter-Terrorism Center at this meeting with officials of the Nigerian Customs Organization. They are here to brainstorm on how to foster the economic development of Nigeria and Niger Republic. Nigeria and Niger have a long-standing relationship in terms of trade, customs and security. The two countries share a border of over 1,500 kilometers and their economies are closely linked, with Nigeria being Niger's largest trading partner. This makes a case for stronger border control between both countries.
We must address the current operational realities at our shared borders. We are aware of the challenges currently being faced, specifically regarding loaded trucks lining up at our borders, awaiting clearance. I'm glad to inform you that in order to resolve this, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, has graciously approved the provision of safe corridor and safe passage for these trucks.
While Nigeria exports grains, manufactured goods, and energy to Niger, livestock, cowpeas, peppers, and tiger nuts form majority of Nigeria's imports from Niger Republic. However, porous borders remain a challenge, and the parties are seeking collaboration to address the challenge.
We have had a lot of issues of trafficking of drugs and caches of arms across our borders. And I believe this is a major concern to the Nigerian Customs Service. We have had goods loaded on vehicles with ammunition hidden under them. So please, these are our concerns. And we believe that if we work together closely, we could address this threat.
Pour lesquels les services de douane servent d'avant-garde.
We recall that the question of terrorism
That is one of the challenges that the two countries are facing, is something that customs will have some role to play in finding lasting solutions to this issue.
Both countries promise better cooperation that will boost trade and improve revenue receipts. Sarah Chimugu, Channels Television News.
So let's now hand over and head to the nation's capital, where Terry Kumi is standing by to give us the latest from our Abuja studios. Over to you, Terry.
Well, thank you very much, Ayo. Now, the Court of Appeal Abuja has dismissed the fresh bids by the Central Bank of Nigeria and Ahmadu Bello University, ABU, to stop the implementation of 2.5 billion naira judgment debt against the university and in favor of the 110 ABU workers who were unlawfully sacked in 1996. In two separate unanimous judgments, a three-member panel of justices ordered the CBN to immediately release the 2.5 billion naira to the former workers of the ABU without any further delay. In the lead judgment delivered by Justice Okonabank, the appellate court threatened to impose heavy sanctions against the CBN should it fail to release the money kept in its custody since 2018 by ABU for onward payments to the aggrieved workers. The claims of the Apex Bank that the consent of the Attorney General of the Federation must first be obtained by the workers before payment can be effected was also dismissed by the Court of Appeal. The CBN and ABU had in separate appeals challenged the implementation of the judgment of the Industrial Court, which ordered ABU to pay the entitlement of the 110 workers, having found that they were unlawfully laid off by the sole administrator of the university, General Mamman Kontagora, in 1996. The two appeals were dismissed for being unmeritorious. The appellate court further awarded a sum of 5 million naira against the CBN and another 5 million naira against ABU to be paid to the workers as cost of litigation, in addition to the 2.5 billion naira.
The appeals have been summarized to be oppressive, to be wasteful of government funds, and to be inhumanity of man to man. And in the light of this, we give all the glory to God that this matter has come to an end. We just advise that people in positions of authority should always exercise restraint and concern for the human beings they deal with. As staff, as colleagues, we must always be mindful. We must not be oppressive. We must consider that this fellow is a human being like me, and I can also fall in the same situation. These are the things I will say in summary, because you need to know the pains, the agony, the sufferings that these people have gone through. But like I said, it has come to an end today.
The Northeast Development Commission has inaugurated several projects in Bauchi State, including a mega school, a medical emergency facility, and the NEDC State Office, amid ongoing construction of other education and health facilities across the state. Governor Bala Mohammed, who was in the company of the Minister of State for Regional Development, Uba Ahmadu, on a commissioning tour, describes the projects embarked upon by the Commission as impactful, while promising continued support and partnership. Our correspondent Hajara Aliyu reports.
A high-level delegation led by the Minister of State for Regional Development, Mr. Uba Ahmadu, along with the management and board of the Northeast Development Commission and federal lawmakers, are in Bauchi State for a 3-day official visit. The delegation first paid a courtesy visit to Governor Bala Mohammed, where the minister explained that his ministry is responsible for monitoring and supervising the activities of the NEDC, with part of its mandate including the unveiling of newly completed projects.
These projects cut across several sectors from education, health, infrastructure, and many other areas, including commerce, like markets, and some other places of benefit.
In his response, Governor Mohammed expressed satisfaction with the interventions of the Commission in Bauchi State.
Across Bauchi State and indeed the wider Northeast, the impact of your work as a Commission is visible and meaningful, touching lives in the areas of education, health, humanitarian support, and disaster management.
The following day, the delegation proceeds with the commissioning exercise, starting with the newly constructed NEDC State Office. The Deputy Governor unveils the project and conducts an inspection tour of the facility.
Of Bauchi State. Assalamu alaikum.
Another major project commissioned was the NEDC Mega School in Dungal, Bauchi, comprising 4 blocks of classrooms, 4 units of staff quarters, an administrative block, and other supporting facilities.
Today we come back here to commission this wonderful building, a mega school constructed.
The school was formally commissioned and handed over to the Bauchi State government. At the Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University Teaching Hospital, a newly constructed and fully equipped triage emergency medical center built by the Commission was also unveiled. During an inspection of the ongoing ophthalmology complex, the managing director of the NEDC addresses concerns over project variations raised by the consultant, which have contributed to delays in completion.
And if there are any bill you have which we didn't pay, can bring you, we can pay while we look at the variation. Otherwise, no variation, you can take another 2-3 months to work in parallel because of the nature of the structure.
Other projects unveiled include a fire service station at Al-Bulgubi campus, the newly rehabilitated Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa tomb, and an inspection of the ongoing construction at the government secondary school, Bauchi.
Nigeria is moving away from reactive emergency response to proactive national safety with the deployment of over 700 newly trained firefighters nationwide. That's according to the federal government. The Secretary of the Civil Defense, Correctional, Fire and Immigration Services Board, retired Major General Abdul Malik Jibril, made this known at the passing out parade of regular course 6 cadet officers of the Federal Fire Service in Jos Plateau State. Our correspondent Percy Dabang reports.
The ceremony began with the arrival of top government officials, security chiefs, and senior officers of the Federal Fire Service as officers and men of various military and paramilitary agencies took their seats at the parade ground.
And he hails from Kwara West. Local.
Moments later, the newly trained firefighters marched in for the passing out parade, displaying discipline, precision, and coordination built through weeks of intensive training. The highlight of the event was a practical demonstration of emergency response skills. The firefighters simulated fire outbreaks, rescue missions, and rapid evacuation procedures, showcasing speed, teamwork, and readiness to respond to real-life emergencies. The Controller General of the Fire Service, Mr. Olumode Adeyemi, said the officers had undergone months of rigorous training and were fully prepared for immediate deployment in firefighting and rescue operations.
The Federal Fire Service has strengthened operational readiness. We have strengthened our capacity and public safety nationwide. We have expanded our training programs, including these 700 cadets.
Speaking at the event, the Secretary to the Civil Defense, Correctional, Fire and Immigration Services Board, retired Major General Abdul Malik Jibril, who is representing the Minister of Interior, Mr. Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, described the parade as the largest in the history of the Federal Fire Service.
This training exercise is unprecedented in both scale and significance. It strengthens our operational depth, improves the response time, and enhances the service's capacity to protect strategic assets, critical infrastructure, and community nationwide.
The Deputy Governor of Plateau State, Mrs. Justine Pio, who is representing Governor Caleb Mutfwang, stressed the importance of collaboration on fire safety, assuring continued partnership with the Federal Fire Service to curb fire disasters in the state.
The Federal Fire Service plays a critical role in our national emergency response architecture. In an era of increasing urbanization, industrial activities, and climate-related disasters, your role has never been more important. With
the induction of the new officers, the federal government says Nigeria's emergency response system has been significantly strengthened. Percy Daban, Channels Television News.
Still ahead on News at 10, global food costs continue downward trend as the FAO records fifth monthly drop. That's in business news. Please stay with us. Welcome back to the News at 10. The FCT Minister Nyesom Wike has ordered the immediate clearing of refuse in the territory before Monday, February the 9th. Mr. Wike gave the marching order after inspecting ongoing road project in Karu, Apo, Karshi, Buari, and Kubwa districts of the nation's capital. The minister stated that indiscriminate dumping of refuse is unacceptable and immediate action needs to be taken to address the situation.
We went to Karu. All the roads within Karu have been done, reconstructed, done by one of the very Nigerian indigenous contractor, Abdufal. Very happy with the job he's doing. One very important road none of us do is the Apo Karshi Road. That road was awarded in 2010. And of course, you know how we have been to that road more than 10 times. But because of the importance of that road, we couldn't wait to get any longer. The excuses of the contractor. I will have to see the permission of Mr. President. I will got that job terminated. I was awarded to LCC. It's a massive infrastructure going on in the FCT and the satellite towns. Of course, the economy will change. People will be very happy. People have never seen road in their life. At least if you went with us to Buare, going to Kubwa, it's unbelievable. But I'm happy that we have the opportunity to support Mr. President to achieve the hope agenda. But the Republic here, it is unacceptable to us. I was a coordinator. If I see that message from Oroso down to Abu Karashi by Monday, Tuesday, your job will be terminated. Whatever you can do, make sure you get the market. It's very embarrassing.
Well, that's all from the nation's capital. Let's go back to Lagos with Ayo.
Many thanks, Terry. As part of activities marking its 50th anniversary, the Imo State government is taking decisive steps to address the long-standing challenge of epileptic power supply. This is as the state government commissions a newly constructed 33 kilovolt transmission line, an 11 kilovolt distribution line, and a 3311 kilovolt injection substation with an installed capacity of 15 megavolt amperes aimed at improving electricity supply across the state. Our correspondent, Eitokwe Kutei, reports.
For years, epileptic power supply has posed a major challenge to businesses in Imo State, with small and medium-scale enterprises accounting for over 50% of economic activity in the state. To confront this challenge head-on, the Imo State government embarks on a power infrastructure project through the Orashi Electricity Company. As part of the Jubilee celebration, sons and daughters of the state gather for the inauguration of the power facilities, signaling a major intervention by the government to reverse years of unreliable electricity supply. The newly completed project includes a 15-kilometer 33 kV transmission line, an 11 kV distribution network injection substation with a capacity of 15 MVA, designed to deliver stable electricity to Owerri and environs. Governor Hope Uzodinma attributes the success of the project to reforms in Nigeria's power sector, particularly the Electricity Act of 2023, which empowers states to invest directly in power infrastructure.
Early last year, I assured Imo people
that my administration will be on course to deliver on its promise of power reliability to drive the economy of our dear state. It is therefore a thing of joy that we are here today for the commissioning of the first phase of Light Up Imo project by our Orash licensed electricity company.
The Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, commends the Imo State government for leveraging on the Electricity Act and positioning the state as a model for decentralized power distribution, as he urges other states to follow the Imo example.
The event of today is designed to unlock innovation, attract investments, and accelerate electricity access by bringing governance and decision-making closer to the people. Imo State is clearly positioning itself as a forerunner in operationalizing this reform in the power sector. The creation of the Imo State electricity market and the establishment of Orashi Company Limited as the sub-distribution company serving the state reflect precisely the framework envisaged under the new Electricity Act, one that promotes structured, accountable, and market-oriented institutions capable of improving service delivery. I hereby commission this project today. Thank you.
With assurances of expansion to other parts of the state, the Light Up Imo project is being positioned as a cornerstone for industrial growth, job creation, and improved quality of life for residents. Eji Topakutei, Channels Television News.
The Nigerian Association of Dermatologists says skin bleaching is a growing public health crisis with medical and social consequences in the country. President of the association, Professor Setima Altrade, stated this during a press conference to kickstart the nationwide campaign to stem the dangers associated with skin whitening in Lagos.
To skin bleaching. Nigeria's top dermatology practitioners are here to brief the media with the aim at stemming the harmful practice of skin bleaching by citizens. In collaboration with Eucerin, the body is out to sustain the nationwide campaign against the widespread practice of skin lightening in Nigeria. Speaking at the briefing, President of the Nigeria Association of Dermatologists noted that skin bleaching is a growing public health concern with medical and social consequences.
While prevalence in Africa and globally continues to rise, Nigeria takes center stage as she has been labeled the world capital of skin bleaching and the skin lightening house of the world. Even more disheartening is the recruitment of children, including infants and toddlers, into this unwholesome practice.
With the theme, Embrace Your Skin, Own Your Shade, the campaign aims to educate the public on the severe health dangers of skin whitening.
We are doing this campaign to sort of buttress the point that if you continue on this pathway, things will just get worse and go downhill from there.
There's so much emphasis on being light, and I think that's where we need to start deconstructing the notion of fair is better. It is not.
The NAD says this enlightenment drive is very important as the age bracket involved in this harmful exercise in Nigeria is between 20 to 24 years old.
Prevention is better than cure. So no to skin bleaching. What we want is a healthy skin, and you can have that very easily. Look at me.
We will find situations in which there are tablets that are used, there are injections that are used. So with each side effect, we are trying to discourage people from using it.
We have been doing it and we cannot do it alone. So we have to collaborate. That is why we are here with you, with the NAFDAC and the representative of the government, so that this thing will reach where it's supposed to go.
Members of the association say they intend to sustain this nationwide campaign, which is aimed at amplifying the dangers of wrong words used to describe skin bleaching, such as toning, glowing, or whitening, especially now that Nigeria is being recognized as the skin decolorizing capital of the world.
Business News is up next with Will Ibo.
you, Ayotunde. The world food prices fell for a fifth consecutive month in January, driven by lower dairy, sugar and meat prices. The UN Food and Agriculture Organization made this announcement. Now, the FAO Food Price Index edged down 0.4% to 123.9 points, staying well below its March 2022 peak. Dairy prices posted the biggest drop, falling 5%, while meat and sugar also declined. Cereals and vegetables, however, recorded modest gains. Now let's see tech space now. Amazon shares dropped more than 9% after the company flagged higher capital spending, intensifying investor concerns that the AI boom may be overstretched. The move comes as major tech firms signal continued heavy investment in AI, raising questions about costs and returns. Markets reacted unevenly, with Amazon among the hardest hit. The sell-off has erased over $1 trillion from big tech valuations in a week, and analysts warn volatility could persist. Still on volatility, Bitcoin edged higher on Friday after narrowly avoiding a fall below the key $60,000 level, rebounding to around $68,000 following heavy losses earlier in the week. The cryptocurrency had slipped below $61,000 on Thursday as selling pressure intensified, extending a broader downturn from its October peak above $126,000. Analysts say forced liquidations and signs of institutional selling are keeping the market under pressure, warning that the rebound may offer only temporary relief. Now back when we look at the company's space now, we see Transcorp Power PLC has posted a pre-tax profit of 120 billion naira for 2025, up 5.6% from 113.3 billion naira in 2024. And this is driven by growth across its core revenue streams. Profit after tax rose 14.3% to 91.4 billion naira, supported by a surge in total revenue to 398.3 billion naira, with energy delivery accounting for over 74% of earnings. And the company announced a final dividend of 4 naira per share, payable on May the 5th, 2026 to shareholders registered by April the 17th, and this is pending board approval. And from there, we head to the domestic equities market, which ended Friday's trading with a new record high as the all-share index crossed 171,000. Here's Ini John McQuarrie with the highlights.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, it's a week of record highs at the NGX because we hit a new record again today. Today's on is mostly because of MTN. MTN gained 10 naira on its share price to close at 620 naira 10 kobo. Now, this is the second time this week that MTN is a market mover, but there are other contributors to that. So we see the top trades. We see Fidelity Bank. We see Chams. Chams also has been garnering good sentiment all through the week, and then Deep Cap also had 59 million in a volume of trade. At the close of it, investors of companies brought in money again. More than 1 trillion naira is what was invested in the market, and that increased our market cap from 109 trillion we had yesterday to 110 plus. And all share also from 170, which we hit yesterday, to 171,000 level. It's more than 1% for the all share. So it's been a victorious week for the bull, and that's how we're closing the week.
Thank you, Ini. And now with Bitcoin trading more like a risk asset and not a safe haven asset, let's see how other major equities are faring at the close of trade today. And that's business news. Will Ibong is back to you, Ayo.
will. At least 31 people have been killed and 169 others injured in an explosion at a mosque during Friday prayers in Pakistan's capital, Islamabad. Police officials say a suicide bomber detonated the device after approaching the gates of the Shia mosque in the Talal area of the city. Here's Simon Puser with more international news and around the world in 5 from our London studio.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. At least 31 people have been killed and 169 injured in an explosion at a mosque during Friday prayers in Pakistan's capital, Islamabad. Police officials say a suicide bomber detonated a device after approaching the gates of the Shia mosque in the Talai area of the city. The blast was preceded by the sound of gunfire. An emergency was declared as hospitals began to receive the wounded, with an appeal sent out for blood donations. Pakistan's Prime Minister has condemned the incident, expressing deep grief. In a statement released on social media, he called for a thorough investigation and the immediate identification of those behind the attack.
People had gathered in a mosque. According to the initial investigations that have been carried out, the suicide bomber was initially stopped at the main gate. But what basically happened was that he had guns with him, and he actually killed 5 people on the gate and then entered the mosque's premises and blew himself right in the midst of the people. I mean, the modus operandi is very clear. Previously, when we've seen Shiites mosques being attacked across Pakistan, and in this particular fashion, it's been the Islamic State of Khorasan that has actually been behind it.
Senior US and Iranian officials have held talks in Oman amid a crisis that has raised fears of a military confrontation between the two countries. The indirect discussions in the capital, Muscat, happened as the US military builds up its presence in the Middle East in response to Iran's violent repression of nationwide anti-government protests last month, which human rights groups say killed many thousands of people. Speaking on state television after the talks, Iran's foreign minister said negotiations would return to their capitals for consultations, but described the meeting as a good beginning. A high-profile general in Russia's military has been shot several times and wounded in Moscow. Lieutenant General Vladimir Alexeyev was immediately taken to hospital after the attack in a residential building on the northwestern outskirts of the city, and his condition is unknown. Alexeyev is a top official in the main directorate of Russia's military general staff, and he is the latest high-ranking military figure to have been targeted in the capital since the full-scale invasion of Ukraine began more than 4 years ago. Alexeyev had played a significant role during the war, taking part in talks with Ukraine during the Russian siege of Mariupol in 2022. Canada is set to open its first diplomatic outpost in Greenland in a significant show of solidarity following US President Donald Trump's threats to take control of the territory. A delegation of senior Canadian officials, including Governor-General Mary Simon and Foreign Minister Anita Anand, are travelling to Nuuk to formally open Canada's consulate, accompanied by a Canadian Coast Guard ship. The brother of US news presenter Savannah Guthrie has renewed his family's plea for proof that their mother is still alive after she disappeared last weekend. As the first deadline from an alleged ransom letter passed, Cameron Guthrie said in a video posted to Instagram that the family had not heard anything about their mother, Nancy Guthrie. The 84-year-old is believed to have been abducted from her home in Tucson in Arizona in the middle of the night. Police launched a massive hunt, with officials offering a reward of $50,000 for information that leads to an arrest.
This is Cameron Guthrie. I'm speaking for the Guthrie family. Whoever is out there holding our mother, we want to hear from you. We haven't heard anything directly. We need you to reach out, and we need a way to communicate with you so we can move forward. But first, we have to know that you have our mom. We want to talk to you, and we are waiting for contact.
And the EU has told TikTok it must change its addictive design or face heavy fines after it found the video-sharing platform had breached its online safety rules. It follows an investigation which began in February 2024 into the Chinese-owned app by the European Commission. The Commission said TikTok did not adequately assess how features like autoplay could harm the well-being of its users, including children, and said it had failed to implement measures to mitigate the risks. The platform has been invited to respond to the EU's findings. Depending on the outcome of this step, the Commission could fine TikTok up to 6% of its total global annual turnover, estimated to be tens of billions of dollars.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Many thanks, Simon. It's now time for sports news, and Chris Alems is right here. Chris.
Thank you, Ayo. Welcome to Sports News. Nigeria's Falconets head coach, Moses Aduku, has warned the national under-20 girls that there will be no room for errors as they host Senegal in Saturday's FIFA Under-20 World Cup qualifier. The winner on aggregate will advance to the final qualifying round of the qualifier, where Guinea-Bissau or Malawi await for tickets to the tournament to be hosted by Poland later in the year. Saturday's encounter will take place at the MKO Abiola Sports Arena, Abeokuta, with a return leg scheduled for Dakar on Saturday, February the 14th.
Firstly, I would say Senegal is a very good side, and we'll be taking the match with all seriousness. Our first match, we'll be taking it with all seriousness. We are focused and we're ready. We're not underrating them. After playing our first match here at home, we'll be going to their side too as well, taking it with all seriousness, being focused.
The girls are prepared for the game. We'll be working hard from Abuja. We moved to Ibadan, and now we are in Abeokuta. The camp has been bubbling. The players are fit, they're ready to go. So tomorrow, we are going to have a good game. The kind of mentality we have in the camp is a winning mentality. Win every game that comes your way. That is why every friendly game we play, we take it like a cup final. And tomorrow is not going to be an exception. We are going all out there to see that we get the win, and not just win like that. We want to win well.
With a place in the Copa del Rey semi-final already secured, Barcelona now turn their focus back to La Liga as they face Mallorca on Saturday. The La Liga defending champions are determined to stay top for another week, but standing in their way is Mallorca and their main threat, Vedat Moreke, the league's second highest scorer with 15 goals. Barcelona head coach Hansi Flick, however, remains upbeat ahead of the clash on Saturday.
I think the team is in a good mood, and at the moment now we are playing against Mallorca. The last match they won 4-1. They have Muriqi. They make a fantastic season till now, 14 goals in La Liga, and this is really good, so we have to take care about him.
Newcastle United boss Eddie Howe has urged fans to be patient with club record signing Nick Votemanda now that the rest of the Premier League is getting to know the German forward's strengths and weaknesses. Votemanda made a fine start to his time in English football following his pre-season arrival from Stuttgart for a fee of $94 million, with 6 goals in the first 11 games for Newcastle United. But the goals have dried up for the 23-year-old who has failed to find the back of the net in his last 12 appearances.
I think he started so well, everyone expected that to continue. I think that's very difficult to do, as much as we wanted that to happen for him. He's getting to grips with the challenges of the Premier League, the speed, the intensity, the physicality. And of course, teams are getting to know him as well. And I think that's the biggest challenge for him, is teams understand his game and what he wants to do. He has to find solutions the other way. So you have to keep ahead of all the other teams. So there's work for him to do, but I think he's done everything with such a great attitude and a great way that's the biggest thing that means for me that he will continue to be successful.
U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance and Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni hailed their shared values as the 2026 Winter Olympics officially begins. As hundreds protest against the U.S. in Milan, Meloni, one of the European leaders closest to President Donald Trump, praises the wonderful bilateral relation between Italy and the U.S. There has been anger in Italy before the Games over the presence of some agents from the U.S. Immigration Enforcement Agency, ICE, as part of security for the U.S. delegation.
spirit of the Olympics, friendship, competition based on rules, and just coming together around shared values. We're very, very thrilled to be here, and we'll have a great conversation about a number of topics. So great to be back in your beautiful country. We love Italy. We love the Italian people. And as you said, we have a lot of great relationships. We have a lot of great economic connections.
A wonderful bilateral relation, but also about many international topics which are open. And I was reminding that last time I saw you in Rome, it was for the new Pope.
That's right.
And today we meet again for the Olympic Games. It is two events that tell about values.
UN. And that's it on sport. Is back to you, Ayo.
Thank you, Chris. And the main news again. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is calling on security agencies to intensify efforts against vote buying in upcoming elections. And the UN, the United States and Turkish government have condemned the Kayama killings in Kwara State that claimed at least 75 lives. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ayo Tunde Balogun. Do have a good night and have a great weekend.